So I love a really great glass of wine, but I don't know that much about wine. And I met up with the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess to find out more. And before she took me on a tour of the wineries, she taught me just exactly how you taste a glass of wine.
The first thing you're going to do is you're going to smell the wine and see what it smells like without releasing any of the aromas.
And then you swirl it to aerate the wine and bring out the scents, which often come in layers.
A black cherry that might lead way to some vanilla and some oak. You're going to get any sweetness in the tip of your tongue, any bitterness in the back, any acid that's in the wine you'll get on the side.
Then the fun part, the sipping of the wine, which, if done correctly, makes you look a bit strange.
Very nice.
So if you got that, now it's time to take that tasting technique out to the wineries of the Hudson Valley, and our first stop was Brook Vineyards.
Why don't you tell me a little bit of the history of Brook? I know this was once a dairy farm.
Yes, we're on a 115-acre farm, of which we have 32 acres of grapes planted. We grow 100% vinifera varietals, Chardonnay, Tokay Friulano, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet Franc. We're a cool climate, like Burgundy, like Oregon, like Washington, and our wines don't get these massive, huge flavors like they do out in California. We just don't get those massive, big, oaky bombs.
Mainly because of the barrels used during fermentation.
New barrels impart really strong oak flavors, and they can end up making a very unbalanced wine for us. Too much oak, not enough fruit. So we buy used barrels, mostly oak barrels, French oak barrels, in order to balance out with our lighter fruit flavors.
But every winery is different, as I found in my travels, and Deb took me over to Ulster County to Whitecliff Vineyards.
You are a geothermal winery. You built this building last year, I believe?
Yes, in 2011.
And what made you choose the geothermal?
It's our emphasis on trying to be as green as possible. Basically, we have a mile of pipe buried underground outside the winery. Think of a wine cave and something that's been in existence for centuries, where you stored your wine, stayed cool naturally. Think of your basement. But this takes advantage of all of that coolness in the ground. And we bring it into the building where we really want to keep the temperature around 60 degrees year-round, so we don't have to put a lot of energy into it.
But producing the wine is done the same way. It begins with growing the grapes, and at Whitecliff, Pinot is one of its prize grapes, but it doesn't end there.
One of our most important grapes is Gamay Noir. We're only one of 2 vineyards in New York State that grow Gamay.
And that's what Beaujolais,
the Nouveau Beaujolais and Beaujolais Village and the high-end Beaujolais. Our Gamay Noir is served at the Culinary Institute and the Gramercy Tavern in New York City, and it always sells out quickly.
We then headed a little further south on Route 9W in Orange County, where Mar Winery sits, the oldest vineyard in America.
When the French Huguenots settled the Hudson River region, they brought with them all of their great French traditions, wine being one of them. Grapes were one of the heaviest planted crops here.
So it's the oldest vineyard, not to be mistaken for the oldest winery, which is Brotherhood Winery. Again, another winery in the Hudson Valley. But what makes Mar unique has to do with sheep.
They're going to be doing our weed control, so less herbicide use, doing our grass control, so less tractor passes, less soil compaction in the vineyard. While they're eating, they're also fertilizing the vineyard. And then also, their little feet kind of cultivate the soil and work everything in there.
I know Baco is your signature wine. What other grapes do you grow here to produce wine?
On the property, we have Baco Noir and Traminette. The Traminette vineyards has been giving us trouble starting, which I've heard about Traminette. But we also at least a piece of property up the road that we have Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc grown on.
So that's it. 3 great wineries right here in our own backyard. My thanks to the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess for all her knowledge. I'm Kimberly Hart. Have a happy 4th of July, and remember, don't drink and drive.